How's it going?
You hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right. So you're mostly playing Nidalee, you said.
Yeah, Nidalee, and I play a lot of Talia now, just because, dude, mid lane play style in the jungle is the funnest thing ever.
Yeah.
And then whenever I need AD, I just immediately pick Rek'Sai most of the time.
Okay.
I used to pick Kha'Zix, I just don't think he's good anymore. And he's too
Um,
inconsistent of a champ.
yeah, I guess you could say that. So what do you want to know about Rek'Sai more or less?
I just don't feel like I'm getting enough done, and I'm not using tunnels as well as I should be.
Okay.
Like I feel like I
Um,
could be more proactive on the map, and I could be faster at getting stuff done.
okay. So if you can follow that link.
Yep. Click on it.
All right. Um,
There we go.
so as Rek'Sai, there's typically a couple places that you're going to want to tunnel. Obviously, you know, your ganking tunnels, you've got this one, you've got this one, you've
Yeah.
got this one. Um, they're fairly obvious. Ganking tunnels. Um,
Mhm.
whenever you leave base, typically you want to have a tunnel here, and a tunnel here to pick one of the three ways you're gonna go. Um, you'll set up tunnels here, and a tunnel here, a tunnel here, a tunnel here, a tunnel here, and then on this side, you typically set up a tunnel here, here, here. Um, that's just to improve, you know, speed of which way you're going and allow you to spend less time in the jungle and more time actually impacting the map. Um, the
Mhm.
faster you can go from one jungle camp to the next, is the best for Rek'Sai. Um, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, what runes are you taking?
I kind of switch it up a couple of times because I know that electrocute is the simplest. It's decent. I know a lot of people like to press the attack as well, and so I kind of depending on what they have on the team comp. Like if I'm facing somebody in the jungle, like a Kha'Zix or Rengar that I have to burst down immediately, that they can't really like
Yeah.
live through. I take electrocute. If I'm
All
facing
right.
somebody who's tankier, I'll go press the attack because there's no reason to try to burst them down whenever they'll live through it anyway. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just depends on the matchup. I think press the attack's probably better because the ulti damage is to increase 8%, but I just prefer electrocute in some matchups.
Is there any reason why you only take the blue smite from what I'm seeing?
I just take it because it makes it easier to gank. Because whenever
Okay.
you, yeah, you
Um,
can catch up with the W.
red smite, in my opinion, is actually a little bit better.
All right.
Depending on what team comp you're going against, especially the team comp you were going against. Um, the only reason you take blue smite is to catch up, obviously, to someone. Um, Kassadin, you're typically not going to catch up to. Um,
Yeah.
MF Leona, you obviously don't want to catch up to them because the Leona is just going to CC you to death.
Yeah.
Trundle, there's not much you can really do to get away from him. You just have to sort of tunnel. Um, Swain, I mean, if he grabs you, you're dead. Same thing with Alistar Jhin. Um, the Singed game, like, fine. You took blue for Singed only. The Zaya, the Fiddlesticks, and the Talon, you're not going to really be catching with the blue smite because they're just going to ult or fear you if you get onto them. And
Mhm.
Talon's just going to jump over walls the whole entire time, so you're never going to catch up to him. But all their junglers are assassins. Talon's an assassin. Um, Swain and Trundle are both tanks. Alistar's a tank. Aatrox is a duelist. Um, these are all people that Red Smite is built to be against. dueling, it's for anti-burst, it's for killing tanks. Blue Smite is more or less for holding on to someone, say Cassiopeia, Ezreal, Lucian, people like this that have high base mobility speed, and that have dashes built into their kit, so on and so forth. Even like a Kha'Zix, if you were going against Kha'Zix, like the Blue Smite could help you out, depending on the rest of their team comp and how well you did into their team as well.
Yeah, so don't take Blue Smite unless it's actually going to be useful. All right.
Yeah. The other thing, you're building Tiamat a bit early, along with the Titanic Hydra.
So you're supposed to go for Black Cleaver entirely first?
Yes, you build the Black Cleaver first, simply because it's the damage and it's the sustain and it's cooldown reduction. It brings you to 30% cooldown reduction, and that's so important for Rek'Sai because when you get that 30% cooldown reduction, your combo is so much faster, your tunnels come up a lot faster, and that's probably one of the reasons that you're having problems with the tunnel is because the tunnel is actually level 5, so when you're level, I want to say it's like level, to be able to tell.
Yeah, I generally just went Titanic.
Yeah, level
because it was like
13.
they weren't tanky, so I was like, yeah, I'll go for like the auto attack reset because that'll deal more damage and help me out more.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's not for the tank show stats. It's just for the CDR and for the general damage it gives. All right.
So, yeah, and at that point, when your E is maxed at level, 13, your tunnels are at like a 2-second cooldown.
Jeez.
Which is, yeah, a bit
It's huge.
insane.
All right.
That's really important. As far as the tunneling goes, are you setting up the tunnels in your jungle and everything like that? Like
yeah, like I set
from
them up the
camp to
minute I
camp?
get them up. Well, like the second I
Okay.
get them up, yeah. So like you see like I had the one over from red buff to Krugs. Like I'll make sure that one's always up so I can do the lane ganks the bot lane faster and get Krugs on the way. I'll have that. I'll just have like a big old chain of tunnels going across my jungle that stop at every buff so that I
Yeah.
can have time to take them and just keep going. That's what I try to do.
What is your early pathing?
I like to go red buff. So like we're starting on this side right here, on blue side. I'll go to red buff to the top side scuttle, and to blue, and then grump, and then gang top lane through a lane gang.
Okay.
But it depends on the circumstance. But generally, I want to get that top side scuttle to deny the enemy jungler the scuttle.
So there was actually a path that I started doing. I know Panzer Dragon is not an amazing jungler, but I was watching one of his videos, and he had a Rek'Sai that he was going against that destroyed him early game.
Okay, no, it's not.
And
You got me interested.
the path he took was starting red, go straight to the Raptor camp. From the Raptor camp, go straight to the enemy red, and then you can get a ward in here.
You can kill anybody who's there because
Yeah.
Rek'Sai's fucking strong. Oh,
But
jeez.
yeah,
That's dirty.
Rek'Sai's Raptor clear is super fast.
Yes, it's nutty. Yeah.
But
Like I used to start Raptors.
yeah.
Back in the
So
old
the
days.
red Raptors and then invade the enemy jungler. Because that's what Rek'Sai is the best for is the invade because of her tremor sense. I used to play her even after they nerfed the crap out of her season 6 and get crazy win rates just because the only way they can really hurt Rek'Sai is by nerfing her tremor sense. And since that's there, she'll always be
Decent.
good, whether it's against whether it's she's overpowered or she's just good versus as like a counter pick for Shaco and Evelyn and stuff like that. But I would definitely try out this route, and then you just take the red, get a ward in here. Then you can take their Raptor camp. If you see them in this ward, obviously, then you can just smite this big Raptor and then kill them right there because they'll most likely be low. If not, you can just take this Scuttle Crab right here, take blue, take Gromp, take Wolves, back, and then reset. Yeah, you should
Jeez.
be like level 4, level 5, and you should have
Enemy
enough
jungler
gold
can
to
only
either
hurt
buy
one.
your Phage, um, Tiamat or Caulfield's, the red buff, the blue buff, or the red smite, blue smite, like whatever early item you want to start with. Um,
What would you recommend?
if you did do that invade path and you successfully got it off, I would actually go the red smite, boots, and a pink
Yeah.
ward.
So boots always. Okay.
Only if you're doing the invade. The reason you want boots if you're invading, if you're doing an invade pathing, is because you want to make sure that you're getting into their jungle as fast as possible. So you don't want to be moving at the same speed they are, because even if they don't have boots, if they just walk here, so if they walk this distance, get into their jungle, and you walk this distance to get into your jungle, that's half of it, but you also have twice the movement speed because of the boots. So you're going to be getting into this camp at almost the same time as they do. They'll get there slightly faster because, their side of the map, you have to walk through all the terrain and stuff. But you should get there at almost the same time, and they'll be a little bit lower health, so you can just kill them, then take the rest of their camps. That's why you take the
All right.
red smite, and then you take the control ward, so you can either pink, um,
Yeah.
some of these bushes over here, like one of these, just so you can keep constant vision of them. You can even get cheeky and obviously ward the bush right there. I don't like warding these bushes because typically people would just clear them out immediately. But that is why you would take the boots red smite with a pink ward.
Yeah.
The other one
With
you could do if you did not uh, invade and you just went for full clear, so um, you went from your red to your um, wolves blue gromp, try ganking top, leave back, do raptors krugs, whatever, um, however you
yeah.
want to
So it's
pass
just standard
that.
full clear.
Yeah, then you would typically go the Caulfield's hammer, or depending on how the lanes look. So if either top lane, bot lane, mid, whatever, if their mid laner is dominating and the jungler, is just behind whatever enemy jungler isn't really doing much, they're just farming, you would go for a Tiamat early just because you want to get levels and experience as fast as possible, and so that's going to let you clear their jungle camps a lot faster and your jungle camps a lot faster. So you can, with that, the enemy team is already fed, so you'll reach 11 or 12 at the same time they're reaching 11 or 12, and enemy jungler will be like level 9 or 8, and depending on how well you're counter jungling them. Um,
Yeah.
Doing this, you will be able to stay even with your enemy team and be able to turn the tides of the lane. So obviously, if the top lane is fed, you can just come up behind for a gank. You have the Tiamat, you have your full by level 11 you should have your full warriors. You should have the Tiamat, and you should have either the two parts of the Black Cleaver finished or all of Black Cleaver finished um, by that point at 11 level 11 in the game. This is like almost end of the laning phase. It's about 15 minutes in. Um,
Yeah.
but it all depends on how well you're going to be pathing as Rek'Sai and ganking and jungling. Um, that's the reason you would buy Tiamat early. If you are winning lanes, um, got some nice early ganks off. You killed the top laner, you killed the mid laner, you killed the jungler, but you didn't really invade or anything like that, or maybe you did invade a little bit. Um, Typically, what you should buy is you should buy the Caulfield's hammer instead of the red smite, and you should buy the Caulfield's hammer, and you should still get the boots and the pink ward. And then if you can buy either a cloth armor or another longsword. And the reason you're going to buy either the armor, the cloth armor would be for they have, you know, a lot of AD on their team or whatever. And so when you go in, you just don't want to take as much damage from them. So basically, it's like a little early boost stat for Rek'Sai because she's so squishy until you start building tanky items on her.
Yeah.
It's just like a little boost stat so that you can 1v1, like if it's like a Nocturne or a Lee Sin or something like that, it's a little easier to 1v1 them uh, early game before you finished your items. Even though you've already killed them, it's just sort of like a backup safe item just because you have the gold. If you have enough gold for a longsword, then you'd buy the extra longsword for the extra damage. As far as after that, you would build the Black Cleaver. If your team is ahead, you would build Tiamat after that. So you'd have Warrior, Black Cleaver, Tiamat. If your team is even or you're behind, you know, they have a lot of tanks on their team or whatever, you would want to go into, depending on the team comp, obviously, Randuin's, Deadman's, Spirit Visage, Adaptive Helm. You'd want to go into more tanky item instead of going the Tiamat, just because now you still need to fight because you already have your first two items. Your team's not really ahead. You need to be in team fights. You need to be focusing on the team fights instead of just focusing on your jungle 24/7. And trying to be there for, you know, a 2v2 or a 3v3 in the mid lane so that it becomes a 4v3 or a 3v2. And because the enemy team's slightly ahead, you need tanky items so you don't just get one shot as soon as you go in. You do not have to build the Titanic Hydra Tiamat if you are super far ahead. I had like one game, you know, 10 minutes in, I already have like 11 kills. 15 minutes in, I'm at 18 kills. The game ends at like 18 minutes with me having 21 kills. If you have a game like that, you go the Warriors, Black Cleaver with a Guardian Angel. And the whole reason for that is Guardian Angel gives you nice tanky stats. You know, it's the chainmail, and then it's a BF sword and the stopwatch. If you go in and you die, you don't lose your lead. Especially because your tunnels come back so quickly with the Black Cleaver, that 30% CDR. You basically respawn and you immediately just be away. You just jump in back into a tunnel and just get out of there.
Yeah.
As far as Rek'Sai's kit, when do you use her ultimate?
I like to use it to dodge stuff because I know that she's
So-
not very tanky early. So
Yeah,
what I'll do is I'll do my combo, and the minute I see like an important looking skill shot, like I see like a brand ulti coming or something like that, it's targeted on me, I'll use it to dodge it so it doesn't hurt my teammates, and so I don't get killed immediately.
Yeah, so early it's really good for skill shots, or if you're diving, you die, you do your, you lose the tower aggro. The other time is good, so later on into the game, the time that you want to use it is you want to save it for team fights, unless someone's obviously like solo by themselves and you know where the enemy team is. When they first reworked Rek'Sai, I made the mistake all the time of just ulting them to finish the kill, and then they like flash into their team and stuff like that, and then you just get one shot by.
You get jabodied, yeah.
Yeah. So you want to hold it until during a team fight until one of the carries flashes. Once one of the carries flashes, they have no way to escape, and you can jump onto them from the back line. Make sure that you know you obviously have your tunnel on cooldown and stuff like that, so you can just jump onto them and then tunnel away from the rest of the team. And then you'll go around. Your passive will heal you up from whatever damage you took, and you'll jump back into the fight and you'll fight again.
All right. What runes do you take on Rek'Sai, by the way?
I take the precision water walking with the celerity. If it's against a team composition that is like an early invade team comp that I know I will struggle against as Rek'Sai, I typically will take go into the resolve tree secondary. I'll either go bone plating and chrysalis if I feel if it's just like an early game problem, like it's a an early game Shaco or something like that, and I know he's going to be sitting in my jungle the whole entire game. I'll go bone plating chrysalis because I just need the extra health, and once obviously I get killing him later on into the game, then it's not as big of a problem. I get the bonus damage from the chrysalis. That also prevents him from just one-shotting me later game if I'm in like a fight or something like that, and I'm buried, and he queues behind me. He can't just one-shot me with his auto attack because of the bone plating and stuff like that. Otherwise, yeah, I go the regular tree. The only other one I go on resolve is the bone plating into the second win. I think it's conditioning, which gives you the bonus armor and magic resist.
Oh yeah, the 10%, 8%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's just if I plan on mostly going tank that game. Maybe my top laner, you know, is full. My top laner is a Tryndamere. My mid laner is a Zed. My bot laner is, you know, Vladimir and Nami or whatever. And then it's like we don't really have any tanks. Vladimir doesn't go tanky. He just builds a bunch of AP or a bunch of health items. Zed obviously isn't going to build tanky. Tryndamere typically never builds tanky. So I'm just going to go resolve with either bone plating and the conditioning, or if I'm feeling that the enemy team has a late game scaling comp, I will go the I don't even remember what it's called, but it's the one that gives you the bonus damage to towers after 5 seconds or whatever. Just so I can force towers that game, and more or less just try to end the game as quickly as possible, taking towers, and forcing the map. I would definitely start taking the red smite more though. Find it a lot more helpful. And the black cleaver obviously secondary.
Okay, so always black cleaver. Alright, I can do that.
The only time you wouldn't build black cleaver secondary is if you're getting completely destroyed by the enemy team and then you don't even build a damage item. You build your warriors and then you just build straight tank until you guys start turning the game. Then you can build, you know, your black cleaver and your Tiamat and stuff like that. Because there's no point building those damage items and putting yourself farther behind, because if the enemy team's ahead, there's no way Rek'Sai is going to be able to go onto anyone and kill them before they kill her. Unless it's like, you know, an ADC that doesn't have any move speed, it's like an Ashe or something like that, and she just used your ult, and you can obviously just kill her. But Rek'Sai's base damage is high enough that she can build almost full tank and still do crap tons of damage, especially because her ultimate, or not her ultimate, but her passive comes up so quickly.
Yeah. Did I miss the AoE tunnel?
The what?
I missed the AoE knockup from the tunnel.
Oh yeah. You know how to do the flash W, right?
Yeah. We just flash and W immediately. Or is there a way to W then flash?
No.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. Yeah, you can. Yeah, like I'll eat somebody, and if I'm not close enough, but I know that they're easily killed, I just flash W immediately, and I'll try to do it behind them so that there's no way afterwards they can get around me. And then you do your unburrow into the knockup, right? Then you auto attack Q, auto Titanic Hydra, auto, and then E, just to cancel everything.
Yeah. Trying to think if there's anything. Itemization, the pathing. You have any questions at all?
For itemization and pathing.
Anything with Rek'Sai?
All right. Anything. What do you think about lane ganks early? Do you think those are pretty useful, especially on the bot lane? So I feel like that's the lane that I normally lose from a lot of the games. because it's just like it's hard to gank bot now because either the enemy bot lane is super oppressive or your bot lane is just super aggressive, right?
Yeah.
And so it's one of the two. Either you get killed by them or they just can't. They're too far ahead. You can't do anything. But I like to try lane ganks.
I
So
personally don't like the lane gank bot lane.
yeah,
Depending on what is obviously going on.
yeah,
If your laner is being oppressive to the enemy team, one of two things is going to happen. Either you're not going to get onto the enemy team because they're just going to hide under their tower the whole time, or they have those bushes warded. In my opinion, my thing I like to do, depending on what's going on, if the enemy team is being oppressive, I like to do the behind a map and just go through one of the rocks and just come up from behind them, and just cut them off. So basically
yeah.
invade their jungle and cut them off from behind and whatnot. If my team is being oppressive, I like to still come up from behind them, and I'll dive them. And basically, what ends up happening, and I'll only do this if I have flash or ultimate. Basically, I just start the aggro. I take 2 or 3 shots, and then hopefully my ADC or support, finish them off, obviously. And that you sort of have to watch to see what your laners have and whatnot. And you basically flash W over the wall, try to one shot the ADC or burn their heal flash. You red smite them immediately when you do the flash W. You do your 3 hits with the Q and then the E. You ult them or you flash out, and they'll either die or your ADC will have killed them.
Yeah. All right.
So that's typically what I like to do for bot lane, just because I feel that lane ganks, like, people expect lane ganks sort of from like a Rek'Sai, Kha'Zix, a Rengar, and stuff like that. Those are people that like to just sit in the bush and they just come out and like sort of jump on you while you're in lane. But the thing is that when they're under tower or they're pushing up and stuff like that, they'll typically ward forward, not behind. So they're not expecting the Rek'Sai to come up behind them, or if they're under their tower, they're sort of not expecting the Rek'Sai to just dive them early game. Obviously, you can't dive them level 3 or whatever I'm talking about. Level 6 when your bot lane is level 5 or level 6 and their bot lane is level 5 or level 6.
Yeah.
Preferably your bot lane is level 6 and theirs is level 5, or theirs is
Like, they're
level
pushing
5
up
and yours
and
is
stuff.
level 5-ish, 4-ish,
Yeah.
and you're the only one that's level 6. Just because if the enemy team is level 6 and it's that Leona MF, you're just gonna die.
You're done.
She's just gonna ult you immediately, EQ, and then the MF's gonna ult you.
Yeah. What do you think about Steric's Gauge as an item on Rek'Sai?
I think Stairs Gauge is fine on Rek'Sai. But I think it's more of a you're ahead and the enemy team has, 2 or 3 assassins. So it's like a Zed mid, and
Yeah.
like a Kha'Zix jungle or a Rengar jungle or something like that. I don't think it's all that great on her if she's behind, because she doesn't have tanky stats naturally built into her. They are all damage stats now and health stats. So if you're just building health on her, she's just going to get blown up because she doesn't have any resistances to anything.
Yeah. Alrighty then. So always get Black Cleaver after your warrior enchant. Then. Alright, yeah. So I've got the build. Anything else that's like critically important that we wanna that you think I might need to know?
I mean, just knowing what items to go in which situation, you're against Cassiopeia, Malzahar, those types of champions, it's better to go Adaptive Helm versus like a Diana and Akali and stuff like that. It's better to go Spirit Visage versus a Jhin and a Jinx and stuff like that. It's better to go Randuin's, Caitlyn, Randuin's against Warwick, against against lifesteal junglers, or against anyone that's lifesteal, like Vladimir, Warwick, I don't think Aatrox is lifesteal anymore built in.
He does on his well, not really. Once he gets Death Dance, if he hits anybody with the center of his one of his abilities, it just does so much life steal. It'll heal him for like a
Yeah,
fifth of his health.
but
It's retarded.
Vladimir, Nasus, um, those types of champion, you want to build just an early executioners,
Yeah.
and then you want to build the um the Thornmail later on in the game. Just because that's gonna help you gank, so they can't lifesteal as much, but it's gonna still give you the damage to kill them, without them being able to heal because you're ganking. And later on, you're gonna need the tankier stats just because it's a team fight now.
So it's just a good early item.
Yeah, it's just really good early. I always build it against lifesteal junglers, especially like Warwick. Uh, you can 1v1 Warwick fairly easily if you have the Executioner's Calling, just because his Q still does damage, but he doesn't get healed. Like, he gets like 50 HP from it now if you've done damage to him already, instead of getting, whatever. But yeah, definitely a very good early game item versus lifesteal team comps as Rek'Sai, and then you just finish those two items basically last. It's just for the early game. You just have the executioners for that early game ganking. It's the only other item I can think of. If you're super far ahead, you can build Berserker's Greaves, depending on what their team comp is. Typically, you're gonna want to go Merc Treads though, just for the tenacity resistance, stuff like that.
Oh, when you go in Precision Tree, do you take Alacrity or do you take Tenacity or Bloodline?
I take Alacrity.
Alacrity. Okay, yeah, same.
Yeah, just for the attack speed. Rek'Sai doesn't really have a huge problem with getting slowed because of her E. It's more or less like when there's like a Morgana and an Ahri and Veigar and all these people that have like hard CC, you want Merc Treads.
Alright then.
And then abilities, holding on to your ultimate until someone flashes in the back line.
Alright, so always save your ulti. Not to pick off a target. Always use it to either dodge damage or kill the ADC whenever they waste their flash. How about entering into team fights? So you want to use my ulti to enter into team fights and save my E to get out. Is that what you're saying? Or sometimes, I mean, it's better to go in with your E.
It's typically better to go in with your E just because nobody's going to take it out while there's a team fight going on, because it's kind of stupid to just stand there for, seconds to kill it. And the cooldown on it is like 1 second once you have the E to level 5. So
yeah,
you can pretty much E in, kill someone, and then just take that tunnel right back out. Or just E again. But typically you should just use E. The reason you don't want to use ultimate is because you can take damage while you're jumping, and people can dodge the damage with their flash. So if they flash right before you land on them, they dodge your damage, and now you're stuck in the enemy team. And the ultimate is not one of those things that you can just easily WE out of. Once you land, it's something that you jump in, and then it has like a whole animation when you land for the auto attack and everything like that, and you can get killed pretty quick. Don't kill anyone and that land in the wrong spot, and people go on you. So I would not ult in.
All right. Sounds good. So just save it for the ADC.
ADC or anyone that's squishy, like if it's like a jungler or something like that that's squishy.
Like a Kha'Zix, say mid lane mate, like a Malzahar who's no shield on, stuff like that. Yeah, gotcha. So it's all about surviving the team fight and getting kills while doing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
because you're more or less. So what Rek'Sai early game is, this is how Rek'Sai works. Early game, Rek'Sai is a gank machine. She just ganks, and her clearing speed is extremely fast. So she doesn't really worry so much about not exactly timing, but it doesn't
She
hurt
can force
her
ganks.
to gank early. Like she can clear really quick, so she's never really behind in experience unless you're just sitting in a bush waiting for a gank, which you should never be doing. You should either be burrowing behind them and just ganking them, and then the ganks a fail, they flashed or whatever. Good, they flashed. Um, just go right back into your jungle and start clearing again, and then back and you just get items. Um, because the faster you can get that Black Cleaver, the faster you can get that Warriors, the faster you can start like tankier, you're harder to deal with, do more damage. Um, Once it gets later on into the game and it starts becoming team fights, your objective more or less is to prevent people from entering onto your team. So when they're sieging or whatever, basically you're just poking them with Q, and once someone gets CC'd or whatever, you immediately jump onto them, kill them. Whole team kills them, and then you just slowly back off. Um, that's basically how Rek'Sai works. You know, when it comes to team fights and stuff like that, she's more or less waiting for the enemy team to separate or someone to get grabbed or pulled out of the enemy and just kill them or CC them. And that basically causes chaos. And typically, what's going to end up happening is your whole team, once that happens, is going to end up engaging on the enemy team. And from there, what's going to end up happening is that you are just going to be able to go into the back line and chase down the ADC, and they're going to most likely flash after they get hit by the Q, and then you kill them.
All right then. That seems pretty effective. Well, that was basically all the questions I had on Rek'Sai.
Okay.
Anything about the jungle in general? About the new meta that's been coming around?
I mean, the new meta basically is just attack speed, early game junglers that can either invade or really good mid game junglers, which is why the best junglers right now, more or less, are Talia, Nocturne, and Wukong, because they're very good and they have a decent early game, but their mid game is where they really shine. Their team fighting and stuff like that. Once they get their level 6, that's where they're really strong. Um, I mean, Graves, Kha'Zix, Rengar, all these assassins are all still really good. They just are more. They just fall off a little bit harder than some of these attack speed junglers that just not exactly outscale them, but like Nocturne, Rek'Sai, Talia, Wukong, all of them have a bit faster clears. They have a bit faster clears, and they're a little bit safer. Nocturne has his spell shield, he has his fear, he has his ultimate, which blinds the whole entire enemy team. Talia has her global ult, which can take her anywhere. She has her E, she has her W, she has her Q. She's not a up close and personal. She's hiding, and she just will throw you away if you try to jump onto her. She just W's you. And then Wukong sort of just can go invisible. He can CC. He's tanky. Even if he builds full damage, he has decent tank stats because he's supposed to be a top laner.
Yeah.
So those are the more or less the best junglers right now, and that's just because it's all about healthy clears, being quick about it, and just being able to attack the map more or less in the mid game, not so much in the early game. Especially because they just changed it that early game doesn't matter as much anymore if you well in the early game, just because the old funneling technique didn't want to make it so that taking first towers and all that stuff was super broken. They want the game to actually last 30 minutes or so instead of having all these like 15, 16.
Like Master Yi games, holy shit.
So
Alrighty then. That
But
was
still,
basically all I had.
anyone's still playable, really.
Yeah.
In jungle.
Yeah, the fact that dude, Gragas is coming back. I've heard. Like I've heard so I saw like his win rate after the 5 second cooldown on his W now at all ranks. His win rate in the jungle went from a 44% for like a 50 to like a 50.5%,
Yeah,
which is
he's doing a
amazing.
bit better. The main reason for that is that gives him
He can
bigger.
actually clear now.
Yeah, he can clear better, and it has a longer range, so he can do more damage from farther away.
I used to be a
And they
hardcore
just buffed the
Gragas
crap
man.
out of Runic Echoes, and they gave him AP stats a couple patches ago.
People still aren't taking the API items on it though. Like they'll take like
Runic
Aurora
Echoes, and they
occasionally.
go like full tank, which is
Or
perfectly
not
fine.
even, no, they stopped taking Runic Echoes entirely. You just go full tank now. That's what I've seen.
I mean, you can.
Yeah, and it works really well now because that extra range in this W into cooldown makes it so you're constantly healing from your passive.
Yeah.
It's awesome, and I'm happy because I used to be a hardcore Gragas man, and he's finally coming back after this little patch of tanks being the worst thing ever in the jungle.
I mean, he has a decent clear speed too, because
The max out.
they did that for him in, like the second or third patch of the season. So they buffed the crap out of his attack speed.
It was terrible whenever preseason came around.
Yeah, but I definitely think that the new meta really isn't. No, it's still the same meta. It's just different champions are a little bit stronger. Some champions are a little bit weaker, but they're all the same champions still. You know, it's still attack speed junglers, still damage junglers. Bruisers are just a little bit stronger now because they have a chance to scale into the game instead of the
You
assassins.
can actually deal damage and not just die.
Yeah. Any other questions though?
Not really. That was kind of all I came in here trying to learn. It was about
Alright.
Rek'Sai. Yeah.
If you have any other questions, you can just message me on Discord and so on. If not, that is the end of the lesson then.
All right. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this.
Welcome. Good luck.
All right. Thank you. Have a
Welcome.
great day.
You too.